The plane shuddered as it hurtled down the runway, engines roaring like a beast unleashed, and in that split second, Elena's world tilted, not from the ascent, but from the stranger's gasp beside her. A woman, heavy with child, clutched the armrest, her face paling against the Florida humidity still clinging to her skin, eyes squeezed shut as if bracing for impact. Without a word, Elena unbuckled, rose, and pressed her shoulder to the seat back, whispering, "Take mine. The window's yours now." Her voice steady, but her heart pounding with the reckless certainty that this choice would unravel everything she thought she knew about love. They were airborne before the flight attendant could intervene, the plane slicing through Miami's storm-laced skies toward Seattle, a coast-to-coast gamble Elena had taken on a whim after her latest breakup left her chasing ghosts across state lines. She was 34, a graphic designer from the sun-bleached sprawl of South Beach, her life a mosaic of vibrant murals and quiet heartaches, out and proud since college, but lately, the rainbow flags felt more like faded banners than beacons. The woman who now sank gratefully into Elena's aisle seat was named Lila, 28, her belly a gentle swell under a loose linen blouse that carried the faint scent of lavender and worry. "Thank you," Lila murmured, her voice a soft tremor, blue eyes fluttering open to meet Elena's like a secret shared in the dim cabin light. "I didn't think anyone would notice." Elena settled into the middle seat across the aisle, waving off the attendant's offer to switch with a tired smile, her backpack wedged under her knees like an unwelcome anchor. The flight stretched ahead, 5 hours of recycled air and murmured apologies from passengers folding trays, but Elena's gaze kept drifting back to Lila, who now gazed out the window at the clouds unfurling like whispered promises. There was something in the curve of her neck, the way her fingers absently traced circles on her bump, that tugged at Elena like a half-remembered dream. She'd always been drawn to women who carried their stories visibly, tattoos, scars, or in this case, the unmistakable bloom of impending motherhood. But Lila? She was an enigma wrapped in exhaustion, her wedding ring glinting dully under the overhead light, a detail Elena noted but refused to let sour the moment. As turbulence rattled the overhead bins, Lila shifted, wincing, and Elena was on her feet again, this time with a bottle of water from her bag. "Here," she said, pressing it into Lila's hand. "Dehydration's the worst up here. I'm Elena, by the way." Lila's fingers brushed hers, cool and trembling, and in that fleeting contact, Elena felt a spark, not the electric jolt of bar flirtations, but something deeper, like roots seeking soil. "Lila," she replied, sipping slowly, her voice gaining strength. "And you're a lifesaver. Literally. This little one's been kicking like a soccer star since takeoff." She patted her belly with a wry smile, and Elena laughed, the sound surprising her in the confined space. Conversation flowed easier than Elena expected, weaving through the hum of the engines. Lila was flying from Miami to Seattle to visit her sister, a spontaneous decision after a doctor's appointment confirmed everything was on track for her due date in 6 weeks. "It's my first," she confessed, her eyes softening with a mix of terror and tenderness. "My husband. He's back home in Portland, working crazy hours. Thought I'd surprise him with some family time before the chaos hits." The word, husband, landed like a soft punch, but Elena nodded, masking the flicker of disappointment with a question about names. "We're thinking Jasper if it's a boy, or Willow if a girl. Something that grows strong, you know?" Lila's laugh was light, but her gaze lingered on Elena's bracelet, the subtle rainbow enamel catching the light. "That's beautiful. Means something special?" Elena hesitated, then shrugged, her voice low. "Yeah, it's a reminder to be brave, even when it's hard." She didn't elaborate, but Lila's nod was knowing, her own hand twisting the ring on her finger as if weighing its permanence. The plane leveled out, and with it, their words deepened. Elena shared snippets of her life, the art gallery opening in Wynwood that had launched her career, the girlfriend who'd left her for a safer path 2 months ago, the empty apartment overlooking the ocean that echoed with silence. Lila listened, her head tilted, offering quiet affirmations that felt like balm. In turn, she revealed fragments of her own mosaic, a childhood in rainy Oregon orchards, a marriage born of college sweethearts that had frayed under the weight of unshared dreams. "I love him," Lila said softly, "but sometimes I wonder if love's supposed to feel this. Settled. Like a habit, not a heartbeat." By the time dinner carts rattled through, the cabin had dimmed, and Elena found herself leaning across the aisle, their knees brushing in the narrow space. Lila's hand rested on her belly again, and when a particularly strong kick rippled across it, she reached out impulsively. "May I?" Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Lila nodded, guiding Elena's palm to the spot, and there it was, the firm, insistent nudge of life, a tiny rebellion against the unknown. Elena's breath caught, tears pricking her eyes unbidden. She'd never imagined this, the queer woman in her 30s who'd sworn off picket fences and cradles, feeling her heart crack open under that pressure. "Incredible," she breathed, and Lila's smile was radiant, her fingers lingering over Elena's just a moment too long. The hours blurred into confessions traded like contraband. Lila admitted the pregnancy had been unplanned, a spark in a marriage-grown routine, and how it terrified her. Not the birth, but the erasure of the woman she'd been before. "I used to paint," she said, tracing patterns on the condensation of her plastic cup. "Wild abstracts, all color and chaos. Now it's ultrasounds and nurseries." Elena, emboldened by the altitude, pulled out her tablet, flipping to a recent design, a swirling vortex of blues and golds, evoking ocean storms. "This is me," she said. "Raw. Unapologetic." Lila's eyes lit up, and for the first time, Elena saw hunger there, not for food or rest, but for the vibrancy she'd tucked away. As the descent warnings chimed, Seattle's lights twinkled below like scattered diamonds, and panic flickered in Lila's eyes. "What if I can't do this?" she whispered, gripping Elena's hand across the seats. "What if I'm not enough?" Elena squeezed back, her thumb stroking Lila's knuckles in a rhythm that felt ancient. "You already are. That baby's lucky to have you fighting for every inch." Customs lines snaked endlessly at Seattle-Tacoma, but they stuck together, Elena wheeling Lila's bag like it was her own. At the arrival's curb, a man in a rumpled coat waved, a broad-shouldered figure with tired eyes and a sign reading Lila plus Bean. Her husband, Tom, enveloped her in a hug, oblivious to the woman lingering a step behind. "Thanks again, Elena," Lila said, pulling back, her voice thick. "You made this flight bearable." Tom extended a hand, gracious but distant. "Heard you were the hero. Appreciate it." Elena nodded, forcing a smile as they loaded into a waiting SUV, but Lila paused, scribbling her number on a napkin from her purse. "In case you need a local guide. Seattle's got secrets." The car pulled away, taillights fading into the drizzle, and Elena stood there, napkin clutched like a talisman, the rain mingling with the salt on her cheeks. She hadn't asked for her heart to shift mid-flight, but there it was, tethered now to a stranger and the life she carried. Back in her hotel room overlooking Puget Sound, Elena unpacked with mechanical precision, the napkin pinned to the mirror like a dare. Jet lag clawed at her, but sleep evaded, her mind replaying the brush of fingers, the kick against her palm. By morning, resolve hardened. She texted Lila a simple "coffee? Grateful traveler." The reply came swift. "Tomorrow? 10 a.m., Pike Place. Can't wait." Elena arrived early, the market's bustle a riot of fishmongers and flower stalls, the air sharp with salt and espresso. Lila waddled in 10 minutes late, radiant in a knit sweater that hugged her form, Tom nowhere in sight. "He's at work," she explained, hugging Elena fiercely. "This is my time." They wandered the stalls, sampling salmon jerky and lavender scones, laughter bubbling as Elena haggled over a bouquet of wildflowers. "For your hotel?" Lila insisted, tucking one behind Elena's ear. Matches your spirit. The touch lingered, electric in the crowd's anonymity and over steaming lattes at a corner table. Barriers crumbled further. Lila confessed the marriage's undercurrents. Tom's devotion, yes, but a chasm where passion once burned, widened by years of compromises. I feel like I'm sleepwalking, she said, stirring her drink absently. And then you wake me up. Elena's pulse thrummed, but she held back, words careful. Sometimes we give up seats to find our own path. Days blurred into a rhythm neither planned. Elena extended her stay, citing inspiration to her boss, while Lila carved out stolen hours, morning walks along the waterfront, afternoons in hidden bookstores where Elena sketched and Lila reminisced about her abandoned canvases. One evening, as fog rolled in off the sound, they sat on a bench facing the ferries, Lila's head on Elena's shoulder, the weight of her both anchor and wings. I keep thinking about that flight, Lila murmured. What if I hadn't been sick? What if you'd kept your seat? Elena turned, their faces inches apart, breaths mingling in the chill. Then I wouldn't know what it's like to feel alive again. The kiss happened unbidden, soft and inevitable under the sodium glow of a street lamp, Lila's hand cupping Elena's jaw as if memorizing contours. It tasted of rain and revelation, pulling Elena under like a riptide. They broke apart gasping, eyes locked in mutual shock and hunger. This can't be, Lila whispered, but her fingers tangled in Elena's hair, contradicting every word. Elena pulled her closer, voice fierce. Why not? Life's too short for can't. They tumbled into Elena's hotel that night, the room a sanctuary of tangled sheets and whispered truths, Lila's body a landscape Elena explored with reverence, the swell of her belly a sacred curve, every touch a defiance of doubt. Guilt shadowed the dawn, Lila slipping away before light fully broke, a note on the pillow. Last night was everything. But I need time. Elena paced the room, heart a war drum, the napkin number burning in her pocket. Days passed in radio silence, Elena throwing herself into designs inspired by Seattle's grays, stormy abstracts that bled emotion onto canvas. Then, a call. Lila's voice, fractured. Tom knows. Not everything, but enough. He saw the flowers, asked questions. I told him about the flight, about you being kind. Elena's stomach nodded. And silence stretched then. He wants space. I'm scared, Elena. The baby's coming soon, and I don't know who I am without him. Elena drove to Lila's sister's house in Ballard, the rain-slick roads mirroring her turmoil. Lila met her at the door, eyes red-rimmed, a sonogram photo clutched in her fist. It's a girl, she said, voice breaking. Willow. They collapsed onto the couch, Elena holding her as sobs racked Lila's frame, the future fracturing around them. I love him still, Lila choked out. But not like this. Not like you make me feel seen. Elena rocked her gently, murmuring promises she wasn't sure she could keep. We'll figure it out. Together. The weeks that followed were a tempest. Tom moved to a friend's apartment, civil but shattered, mediation papers stacking like accusations. Lila, swollen and sleepless, leaned on Elena, grocery runs turning to late-night talks, hospital tours laced with tentative kisses. Elena's own life upended. She pitched a remote work arrangement, her Miami lease surrendered to subletance, visions of a future rooted in evergreens rather than palms. Yet doubt gnawed. Was this fair to the child? To the vows Lila had once cherished? One night, as thunder rattled the windows, Lila traced Elena's tattoos, delicate vines curling up her arm, and whispered, I chose you. Us. Because love isn't a habit. It's this fire. Labor came early, a midnight rush to Swedish medical under skies bruised purple. Elena gripped Lila's hand through contractions that twisted her face into masks of agony, the waiting room a blur of bad coffee and Tom's eventual arrival. Awkward nods exchanged, a fragile truce for the sake of the tiny life fighting to arrive. Willow emerged at 3:17 a.m., a squalling miracle with Lila's blue eyes and a tuft of dark hair like Elena's own. The room filled with her cries, a sound that pierced Elena to her core, and when Lila placed the swaddled bundle in her arms, time suspended. "She's ours," Lila breathed, Tom's shadow retreating to the hallway, his goodbye a quiet surrender. In the hazy postpartum glow, choices crystallized. Tom signed papers granting Lila full custody, his love reshaping into something platonic, a co-parent from afar. Elena, no longer the transient artist, became the steady hand. Diaper changes at dawn, lullabies in the nursery painted seafoam green. Their love deepened in the domestic trenches, romantic dinners squeezed between feedings, walks where Willow's giggles bridged their scars. Elena's designs flourished, a series called Unexpected Horizons, selling out in galleries from Seattle to Soho, each piece a testament to reinvention. 1 year later, on a clear autumn day, they stood at the waterfront, Willow toddling between them, chubby fists clutching wildflowers. "You gave up a seat," Lila said, leaning into Elena's side, rings exchanged in a quiet ceremony months prior glinting in the sun. "And gained a world." Elena kissed her temple, Willow's laughter the soundtrack to their forever. In that moment, the baby who'd changed everything wasn't just a bridge across divides. She was the heartbeat of a love fierce, unyielding, and profoundly human. Willow's first birthday dawned with a kind of relentless Seattle drizzle that painted the city in perpetual soft focus, turning every window into a canvas of rivulets and reflections. Elena woke to the patter against the glass, Lila's arm draped across her waist, their bodies entwined in the queen bed of their cozy Fremont row house, a far cry from Elena's old Miami loft, but home now, etched with crayon marks and the faint scent of baby powder. Down the hall, Willow babbled in her crib, a symphony of nonsense syllables that pulled Elena upright, her bare feet padding across the cool hardwood. She scooped the toddler up, Willow's chubby arms locking around her neck, and carried her to the kitchen where Lila was already at the stove, flipping pancakes with the precision born of weary mornings. "Happy birthday, little storm," Elena murmured, nuzzling Willow's downy hair, the child's giggles bubbling like champagne. Lila turned, spatula in hand, her post-baby figure softened into curves Elena still traced with wonder in the quiet hours. At 29 now, Lila wore motherhood like a crown, fierce and unpolished, her blonde waves tied back in a messy bun, flour dusting her cheek. "Pancakes with blueberries, per Her Highness's request," Lila teased, leaning in for a kiss that lingered, sweet with batter and the promise of later. Elena's hand slipped to Lila's waist, pulling her close despite Willow's squirms between them. "You spoil us both," she whispered, her voice husky from sleep and something deeper. The party was small, intimate, a backyard gathering under strung fairy lights, the drizzle holding off just long enough for aunts, uncles, and a smattering of friends to coo over Willow's smash cake. Tom's presence was a quiet grace note. He'd arrived early with a hand-carved wooden duck, his smile genuine if tinged with the ache of what-ifs. "She's got your fire," he told Elena over plastic cups of spiked punch, his eyes crinkling at the corners. Elena nodded, gratitude softening the old edges. And Lila's heart. "We're lucky." As Willow smeared frosting across her face, the group erupted in laughter, cameras flashing like stars, capturing a family forged not by blood but by choices, messy, miraculous ones. But beneath the joy, shadows stirred. Elena's phone buzzed mid-afternoon, a New York gallery curator's name lighting the screen. "Elena? We've got an offer on the Horizon series, full retrospective, opening next month. Flights covered, plus a residency." Her stomach flipped, excitement warring with dread. The series had been her breakthrough, born from that fated flight, each piece a layered confession of longing and loss. But Manhattan meant weeks away, spotlights and schmoozing, a siren call to the nomadic life she'd half abandoned. She pocketed the phone, smile fixed as she scooped Willow for a spin, but Lila caught the flicker in her eyes later, as guests trickled out and rain resumed its tattoo. "Spill," Lila said that evening, Willow finally down after a bath that left the bathroom a splash zone of rubber ducks. They curled on the couch, a bottle of Pinot between them, the fire crackling in the hearth. Elena hesitated, then handed over the email printout, words tumbling out in a rush. The prestige, the paycheck that could fund Willow's college someday, the fear that saying yes would unravel their fragile weave. Lila read silently, her face unreadable, then set the paper aside, fingers lacing through Elena's. "This is huge. You deserve it." But her voice cracked on the last word, and Elena pulled her into a fierce hug, breathing in the lavender that still clung to her skin. "Not without you. Us." Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with airplane wings and gallery crowds, Elena waking to Lila's quiet sobs in the dark. "What if you go and realize you miss the chaos less than the calm?" Lila whispered, tears hot on Elena's collarbone. "Or worse, that you don't miss us at all?" Elena's heart clenched, visions of empty cribs and silent kitchens flashing like warnings. She cupped Lila's face, thumbs brushing away salt tracks. "You're my chaos, my calm. Every stroke on canvas is you, Willow's laugh, your touch. I'd paint the world gray without it." They made love then, slow and anchoring, bodies reaffirming vows in the language of skin and sighs, rain a lullaby outside. The decision hung like a held breath through the following weeks. Elena prepped proposals by day, Willow napping on her chest, Lila's encouragement a steady undercurrent laced with unspoken pleas. Tom stepped in more, weekend outings to the aquarium where Willow pressed her nose to glass, mesmerized by jellyfish drifts. "Take the leap," he advised Elena one crisp afternoon, pushing Willow on a park swing. "Lila's stronger than she thinks. And so are you." His words echoed that night at dinner, chopsticks clinking over takeout sushi, Willow babbling about fishies. Lila set down her roll, eyes steady. "Go. We'll fly out for the opening. Make it our adventure." Exhilaration surged as Elena boarded the red-eye to JFK, the familiar rumble of engines a echo of that Miami departure. She sketched furiously in her seat, concepts blooming, a new piece, tethered skies, envisioning threads connecting coasts, hearts defying distance. New York swallowed her whole. Meetings in lofts with skyline views, critics dissecting her work with surgical praise, the retrospective's walls alive with her soul bared in pigment. Nights blurred into after-parties, champagne flutes and flirtatious glances from admirers, men and women alike, their eyes lingering on her rainbow bracelet, but Elena's thoughts anchored to texts from Lila. Willow's first steps captured in shaky video, Lila's voice notes husky with missing her. The opening night arrived in a whirlwind of black ties and velvet ropes, the gallery pulsing with murmurs and clinking glasses. Elena stood before her pieces, heart hammering, until the doors swung wide and there they were, Lila in an emerald gown that hugged her curves, Willow perched on her hip in a tiny dress, curls wild. "Surprise," Lila breathed, kissing her deeply amid gasps from the crowd, unapologetic in their joy. Willow reached out, smearing a sticky hand on Elena's cheek, and laughter broke the tension like dawn. "Mama home," the toddler lisped, and Elena melted, scooping her up. "Always been." In the afterglow, as confetti settled and patrons dispersed, Elena pulled Lila into a shadowed alcove, Willow dozing against her shoulder. "This," she gestured to the walls, "the city lights beyond. It's nothing without you." Lila's smile was luminous, fingers tracing Elena's jaw. "Then let's bring it home. All of it." They flew back the next day, Willow conked out between them, the plane's hum a contented drone. Elena gazed at her family, the napkin from a year ago tucked in her wallet like a relic, and knew one act of kindness had birthed not just a child, but a legacy of love, bold, boundless, unbreakable. Yet life, ever the storyteller, had more twists in reserve. 2 months post-residency, Elena's agent called with a bombshell. A major studio wanted her designs for a film score, animation, no less, a queer fairy tale about lost princesses finding each other in enchanted woods. It meant collaboration in LA, 6 months of storyboards and sync sessions, a chance to infuse her heart into frames watched by millions. Excitement warred with a now familiar pull. Lila, sensing the shift over breakfast smoothies, set down her glass. "Talk to me." Elena did, words spilling like paint, visions of Willow as inspiration for a wide-eyed heroine, fears of another fracture. This time, Lila's response was steel-wrapped in silk. "We go together. Freelance my graphic skills down south. Palm Springs has sun, space for Willow to run." Elena's eyes widened. "You'd leave Seattle?" Lila shrugged, a mischievous glint. "For you? Anywhere. Besides, think of the sunsets. We'll paint them alive." Tom's blessing came swift, a video call where he grinned at Willow's antics. "Road trip family. I'll visit. Keep the Ballard house warm." Packing commenced in a frenzy of bubble wrap and laughter, Willow helping by scattering toys, the row house echoing with plans. LA welcomed them with blistering heat and palm-fringed promise, a rented bungalow in Echo Park their nest, adobe walls splashed with Elena's sketches, a backyard swing for Willow's endless energy. The studio gig ignited Elena's fire, days blurred into midnight renders, her touch bringing sapphic sparks to the screen, princesses locking eyes across misty glades, hands clasping in defiance of crowns. Lila thrived too, landing gigs at boutique agencies, her abstracts, once dusty dreams, now vibrant commissions for album covers. Evenings, they'd collapse on the porch, Willow asleep inside, wine glasses raised to the Hollywood sign glowing like a beacon. But paradise had thorns. Tabloid whispers chased Elena's rising star, queer artists' whirlwind romance, baby mama drama, twisted tales of Tom as the jilted ex, Lila as the other woman. Hate mail trickled in, vitriol slicing through social feeds, slurs questioning Willow's place, Elena's worth. One night, after a particularly venomous thread went viral, Lila found Elena hunched over her laptop, tears blurring the screen. "They're saying I'm ruining lives. That Willow deserves normal." Lila shut the computer, pulling her to the floor in a tangle of limbs. "Normal's a cage. We're the key." Her kiss was fire, reclaiming, and in the aftermath, they vowed armor. Public posts of their joy, Willow's toothless grins a shield. The film's premiere loomed, a red carpet gamble Elena dreaded. What if they see through it? She confessed to Lila in the mirror, adjusting a tailored suit that hugged her frame. Lila, stunning in sapphire silk, straightened her collar. "They'll see truth. Us." Willow, in a mini tuxedo onesie, clapped from Tom's arms. He'd flown in, proud uncle now. The theater buzzed, flashes blinding as they walked the carpet hand in hand, Willow waving like royalty. Questions flew. "Elena, inspiration for the romance?" And she grinned, Lila's fingers laced in hers. "A flight, a stranger, and a baby who taught me love rewrites the script." Reviews poured in ecstatic, the film's kiss scene lauded as revolutionary tenderness, Elena's designs a visual love letter. Backstage, amid cheers, Willow's cry cut through, teething woes, and Elena scooped her up, the crowd melting away to family. Later, at an after-party, a producer cornered them. "Sequel? Your vision leads." Elena glanced at Lila, Willow gnawing her necklace. "Only if it's ours." They toasted to horizons anew, the baby's tiny hand on Elena's heart a reminder. Change wasn't loss, but evolution, love's endless, audacious bloom. Years folded like origami, Willow's toddler tantrums giving way to schoolyard triumphs, her curls lengthening into waves that danced in the breeze. By 5, she was a whirlwind of questions. "Why 2 mommies?" scribbled in crayon on fridge notes, and Elena and Lila answered with stories, the flight mythologized into bedtime lore. Mama Elena gave up her seat, and poof, here we are. They'd settled in Portland after LA's glare proved too bright, a craftsman bungalow near Tom's apartment for easy co-parenting, the city's rose gardens a playground for Willow's endless curiosity. Elena's career soared, books illustrated, TED Talks on queer creativity, while Lila's studio flourished, murals adorning cafes with whispers of their shared palette. But beneath the idol, fault lines simmered. Elena's travels multiplied, a book tour in Europe, panels in Toronto, each goodbye a small excision from the daily rhythm. Lila bore it with grace, but resentment brewed in the silences. Nights alone with Willow's fevers, school pickup solo. One autumn evening, as leaves carpeted the backyard, Lila confronted it over chamomile tea. "I feel like the anchor while you're the sail." Elena, fresh from a Chicago signing, dropped her bag, guilt etching lines around her eyes. "I'm building for us, security, legacy." Lila's laugh was sharp. "Legacy? Willow needs you here, not postcards." The argument escalated, words like shrapnel, Elena accusing Lila of clipping wings, Lila firing back on selfishness. Willow, eavesdropping from the stairs, burst into tears, and they crumbled, hugging her between them, apologies a tangled litany. Reconciliation came slow, therapy sessions in a sunlit office, where a soft-spoken counselor unpacked their scars, the flight's impulsivity mirroring Elena's flightiness, Lila's settled marriage echoing her fear of instability. "Love's a verb," the therapist urged, homework in vulnerability journals. Elena dove in, canceling a Sydney gig for family hikes in the gorge, wildflowers pressed in Willow's sketchbook. Lila reciprocated, joining Elena at a queer-lit fest in San Francisco, her hand in Elena's during Q&A, voice steady. "Our story started with a seat given up. It's about choosing to stay, every day." Winter brought unexpected frost. Lila's diagnosis, a routine checkup unveiling early rheumatoid arthritis, joints stiffening like reluctant hinges. "Manageable," the doctor assured, prescriptions piling, but fear coiled in Lila's gut, painting with hands that betrayed, chasing Willow with faltering steps. Elena canceled everything, her world narrowing to appointments and warm baths, massaging Lila's fingers under lamplight. "We'll adapt," she vowed, voice fierce. Willow, sensing the shift, became their light, tiny hands fixing Lila's with Play-Doh braces, songs invented about super strong mommies. Tom's support deepened, meals delivered, story hours at his place to give them space. One snow-dusted night, as Portland blanketed in white, Lila woke Elena with a sketchpad, pages filled with ethereal figures, women entwined in vines, resilient amid thorns. "My hands hurt, but my heart doesn't," she said, tears glistening. Elena traced the lines, awe swelling. "This is gold. Publish it." Lila's collection, Tender Branches, debuted to acclaim. Adaptive tools turning limitation to innovation, voice-guided software, brushes strapped to wrists. The launch party hummed with pride, Willow reciting dedications, Elena's toast choking on emotion. Lila gave up comfort for truth. "She's our root, our bloom." Spring thawed more than ice. Willow started kindergarten, her backpack a riot of patches, rainbows, airplanes, blooming flowers. Drop-offs became rituals, Elena and Lila lingering at the gate, kisses stolen amid minivan chaos. But whispers of change rustled again. An offer for Elena, a fellowship in Berlin, 6 months, immersive, a queer arts collective dreaming big. "Think of the stories," her agent enthused. Elena's heart raced, visions of cobblestone streets and Lila's murals translated to graffiti walls. She broached it carefully, over picnic dinner in Laurelhurst Park, Willow chasing ducks. Lila chewed her lip, then smiled. "We come. Berlin's got canals, culture." Willow learned German curses before ABCs. Preparation was a ballet of bureaucracy, visas, housing hunts via Zoom, Willow's excitement bubbling in packing lists. Tom threw a Bon Voyage barbecue, ribs smoking, toasts to expanding horizons. The flight to Frankfurt, connecting through, of course, felt like circling back, Elena buckling Willow in, Lila's hand on her knee. "Déjà vu," Lila murmured, smiling at the irony. Turbulence hit over the Atlantic, Willow fussing, and Elena unbuckled to soothe, her voice a steady anchor. Lila watched, love swelling. This woman, who'd upended a life for a stranger, now her compass. Berlin enveloped them in gray grandeur, a Kreuzberg flat with creaky floors and views of the Spree. Elena dove into the fellowship, collaborations sparking like fireworks, murals with trans artists, performances weaving their flight tale into dance. Lila found her niche in a co-op gallery, her arthritis-eased abstracts resonating with the city's layered history. Willow thrived in international school, friendships forged in broken English, her drawings a fusion of Bavarian castles and Portland pines. Evenings, they'd wander Tiergarten, pretzels warm in hands, Lila leaning on Elena's arm, Willow skipping ahead. Yet homesickness nipped, holidays without Tom's turkey, Willow's questions about Omi's house piercing. A video call home turned maudlin, tears flowing, and Elena proposed cutting short. No, Lila insisted fierce. This is growth for all. They leaned in, hosting Thanksgiving with fellowship friends, goose instead of turkey, but gratitude thick. Willow's school play, a multilingual stone soup, stole hearts, her role as the wise traveler echoing their saga. Backstage, Elena hugged her tight. Your best story. The fellowship's end brought a crossroads. Extend? Return? An email from a Berlin publisher offered Lila a solo show, Elena a teaching post. Stay? Lila asked, eyes searching over strudel at a corner cafe. Elena waited, roots deepening in foreign soil, Willow's fluency blooming. If it's home for you. It was, and they committed. Visas renewed, the flat evolving with Willow's posters, Lila's easel by the window. Months later, at the show's vernissage, Lila's pieces glowed under spotlights, flights echo, a triptych of seats, bellies, and embracing silhouettes. Critics raved, but Elena's favorite was Willow's critique. Mommy's pictures make me feel big hugs. In that gallery, amid murmurs and clinks, Elena pulled Lila aside, Willow twirling nearby. From a stranger's seat to this, our life's a masterpiece. Lila kissed her, slow and sure. And the baby's brushstrokes tied all. Willow ran up, paint smeared from a kid station, and they laughed, a triad unbreakable. Change, they'd learned, wasn't chaos but choreography, love the lead, family the dance. Adolescence crept in with Willow at 12, her limbs stretching like vines toward sunlight, questions sharpening into arrows. The Berlin years had woven them into the city's fabric, Elena's professorship at the Art Academy a passion project, Lila's gallery a hub for emerging queer voices, but America tugged, whispers of roots and relatives. Tom's remarriage brought a step-sibling for Willow, a cousin bond across oceans, and Lila's arthritis, though managed, yearned for milder climates. Portland calls, Lila said one drizzly Fingston, packing sauerkraut for a picnic. Elena nodded, heart full. Homecoming tour. The transatlantic move was smoother this time, containers shipped, Willow's room prepped with glow-in-dark stars. Back in the Craftsman, now with solar panels and a studio shed, life reacquainted. Tom's wedding a garden affair where Willow caught the bouquet, blushing at 13. Elena's return sparked invitations, keynotes at Miami Pride, where she traced full circle, speaking on seats of change, to packed halls. Lila, ever the quiet force, curated a pop-up of their joint works, canvases dialoguing flight to family. But Willow's teen tempests brewed. At 14, she came home from school, backpack thudding, eyes stormy. They said two moms isn't real family. That I'm confused. The slur hung, a ghost from Elena's youth, and rage simmered. Lila pulled her close, voice even. They're scared of what they don't know. We show them truth. Elena, fists clenched, paced. By what? Punching bullies? No, by visibility. They volunteered at the local center, Willow co-leading art workshops for LGBTQ+ youth, her sketches of blended families a bomb. Tom's new wife, Sarah, a therapist, mediated school meetings, advocating with quiet steel. The crisis peaked at a regional track meet, Willow's relay anchor position sabotaged by whispers, coach benching her after parental complaints. Devastated, she quit, lacing up sneakers only for neighborhood jogs. Elena, remembering her own sideline dreams, bought a track set for the backyard, timing laps with a stopwatch. "Run for you," she coached, sweat mingling. Lila joined, her strides measured but determined, arthritis be damned. Willow's fire reignited, entering a community 5K, crossing the finish with them flanking, metal gleaming. "Family pace," she panted, hugging tight. 15 brought first crushes, Willow's journal pages fluttering with sketches of a classmate, Mia, shy, with braids and a violin case. "Is it weird if I like girls?" she asked over dinner, fork paused. Elena's heart swelled, exchanging a look with Lila. "Only if you let it be. Love's love." They navigated with care, permission slips for school dances, Mia's family a warm welcome at movie nights. But heartbreak struck swift, Mia moving away, Willow's tears a monsoon. Elena held vigil with ice cream and old rom-coms, Lila weaving a story. The right ones stick, like us. Willow emerged wiser, her art turning inward, portraits of fractured hearts mending, sold at a teen expo to fund center scholarships. By 16, Willow's talents bloomed dual, track star with college scout circling, artist whose murals graced Portland bridges, vibrant declarations of chosen kin. Elena's pride was a constant ache, her own book, Brushstrokes of Becoming, a memoir blending their tale, hitting bestseller lists. Lila illustrated it, her style evolved, fluid lines embracing imperfection. Launch night, Willow emceed, voice steady. "My mom's taught me, one act ripples forever." Applause thundered, but the real echo was family dinner after, Tom's clan included, toasting Willow's acceptance to RASD, art scholarship in pocket. Yet shadows lengthened. Elena, nearing 50, felt time's subtle theft, gray threading her hair, joints echoing Lila's old complaints. A routine skin flagged a polyp, benign but a wake-up. "We're not invincible," she confessed to Lila in the oncologist's aftermath, hands clasped. Lila, eyes fierce, squeezed. "Never were. That's why we fight pretty." They dove into wellness, yoga in the park, Willow joining with eye rolls turning to enthusiasm. Tom's support anchored, family hikes his domain, Sarah's counseling a lifeline. The scare catalyzed legacy talks, trusts for Willow, a foundation for queer artists seeded from Elena's royalties. Willow, home from orientation, dove in, her vision bold, grants for trans creators, residencies echoing Berlin. "Your flight's my fuel," she told Elena, hugging fierce. At 18, graduation cap soared, Willow's speech a mic drop. Love gave up a seat and built a throne. Post-ceremony, Mia reappeared, college-bound, feelings rekindled, and Elena winked at Lila. History rhymes. Empty nest loomed as Willow packed for Providence, dorm lists a blur. Elena and Lila waved her off at PDX, tears blurring the security line. "Call every hour," Lila joked, voice thick. Willow laughed, backpack slung. "Love you both. Don't redecorate yet." The drive home was quiet, house echoing, but they filled a deliberate. Date nights at old haunts, a European river cruise where Elena proposed a vow renewal, rings exchanged under Eiffel shadows. "Forever's our flight," she said, kissing salt from Lila's lips. Willow's freshman year flew, video calls brimming with dorm drama, first critiques. She came home for breaks, Mia in tow, their bond tentative then solid, young love's awkward grace. Elena mentored from afar, critiques via Zoom, pride swelling at Willow's first gallery show, roots and wings, pieces tracing their lineage, airplane seats morphing to family trees. Critics noted the lineage, but Elena saw truth, one gesture's echo, amplifying through generations. At 20, Willow graduated, cap tassel swinging, Mia beside her, rings glinting. The family gathered, Tom, Sarah, Berlin friends flown in, for a backyard bash, roses in full riot. Willow's toast choked Elena, to the woman who gave up a seat and gained eternity. Hugs cascaded, and as stars pricked the sky, Elena pulled Lila aside, Willow's laughter the backdrop. Our babies changed everything. Lila smiled, hand on heart, and keeps changing. Decades wove their tapestry subtle, Willow's life a parallel melody, marriage to Mia in a rose garden ceremony, Elena officiating with tears and puns, Lila's murals the backdrop. Children followed, 2 girls with Willow's curls and Mia's dimples, dubbed the Sprouts, toddling into Elena and Lila's Portland haven for holidays, the bungalow a chaos of blocks and bedtime stories. Elena, at 62, semi-retired to mentorship, her legacy a constellation of alumni thriving, queer voices amplified worldwide. Lila's hands, gnarled but guided, produced still, exhibitions touring, her Tender Branches series a staple in museums. But age's quiet insurgency crept. Elena's hips protested long walks, Lila's arthritis flaring in damp winters. Tom's passing at 70, sudden from a heart event, left a hollow, funeral rain-swept, Willow's eulogy a bridge across his complexities. Dad chose love's evolution, she said, voice steady, Elena's arm her anchor. Grief bound them tighter, family dinners now with Sarah's stories, the Sprouts asking after Grandpa's ducks. A milestone beckoned, their 35th anniversary, the flight's shadow long but luminous. Willow orchestrated a surprise reenactment at Seattle-Tacoma, actors in period garb, a chartered plane to Miami for the real deal. Full circle, she grinned, Sprouts in tow. Elena and Lila boarded, hands clasped, the cabin a time capsule, window seat Lila's, Elena's voice over the intercom. One choice, infinite skies. Turbulence mimicked memory, laughter bubbling as the pilot dipped wings over the sound. Miami welcomed with heat's embrace, wind-wooed walls now bearing Elena's early murals, faded but foundational. They wandered Ocean Drive, salt air thick, Lila's cane a jaunty prop. Remember the ghosts? Elena asked, arm linked. Lila nodded, eyes sparkling. Chase them away. Willow's family joined, a beach picnic unfolding, Sprouts building sandcastles shaped like airplanes, Mia strumming guitar to folk tunes. As sun dipped, Elena rose, glass raised. To strangers who become souls. To babies who rewrite fates. Back home, routine resumed laced with reflection. Elena's memoir sequel, Echoes Unbound, delved deeper. Willow's chapters co-written, the Sprouts' doodles interspersed. Lila curated a companion show, interactive installations where visitors gave up seats via VR, emerging transformed. Critics hailed it humanity's hug, but the true measure was letters, teens citing it as coming-out courage, parents rethinking biases. Willow's eldest Sprout, at 8, echoed history, curious about how grandmas met. Elena spun the tale, embellished with props, a toy plane, a stuffed belly. One kind act, and poof, your mom was born. The child beamed, drawing her version. Stick figures in clouds, hearts linking. It hung framed in the hall, a new talisman. 70 arrived for Elena like a gentle wave, Lila 2 years ahead, their bodies a map of shared miles, scars from falls, laugh lines etched deep. Health scares punctuated, Lila's flare requiring hip surgery, Elena's cataract clouding visions, but they faced them tag team, Willow shuttling from Philly, Sprouts piling on beds for fort-building recoveries. You're stuck with us, Elena teased post-op, Lila's hand in hers. Promise. A legacy project crystallized. The Seed of Change Foundation endowed generously, funding scholarships for LGBTQ+ artists with families, residencies flexible for caregivers, grants for adaptive tools. Willow helmed it, Mia's law-savvy streamlining, the Sprouts artwork logos. Inaugural gala in Seattle, rain pattering, Elena keynote, That flight wasn't chance, it was courage. Pass it on. Donations flowed, but the knight's heart was private. Lila's whisper post-speech. Our best work. Grandparenting deepened joys. Sprouts recitals, soccer games where Elena cheered horse. Lila sketching sidelines. One Christmas, the eldest gifted a scrapbook, family tree branching wild, from Miami napkin to Berlin flat to Portland hearth. Elena thumbed pages, tears blurring. Full, she murmured. Lila nodded, arm around. And still growing. 80 loomed, mobility aids a duo. Walkers synced like dance partners. Willow's brood expanded, a boy added, his kicks under Lila's palm a echo across generations. Elena's sight dimmed, but stories sharpened, voice recorder capturing tales for posterity. Lila's hands stilled more, but dictation flowed, memoirs co-authored in sunset hours. One crisp fall, as leaves turned, Elena felt the pull, a quiet knowing, doctor's words confirming time's lease shortening. Heart's wearing thin, he said gently. Lila heard, face stoic, but nights brought vigils, her head on Elena's chest, counting beats. Willow rallied family, hospice whispers, but Elena rallied too. No pity party. Adventure to the end. They planned a farewell flight. Private charter over the Cascades, Sprouts wide-eyed, Willow piloting vibes. The day came golden, plane humming soft. Elena buckled by the window, Lila beside, hands clasped as ascent began. Like the first, she breathed, clouds parting to peaks. Sprouts chattered, but Elena's gaze locked on Lila's. 50 years distilled. You changed my life, she whispered. Lila leaned, kiss featherlight. We changed each other's. Descent gentle, landing in laughter, but Elena's strength waned post-flight. Bedridden, surrounded. Willow reading fan mail, Sprouts singing off-key. Lila's story's a constant. The baby's still kicking. Elena joked one dusk, hand on heart. Lila smiled, tears silver. Our forever kick. She slipped away at dawn, Lila holding vigil, Willow's hand in hers, the room awash in sunrise. Grief crashed, but grace followed. Memorial a celebration, murals projected on bridges, foundation gala in her name. Lila, bereft but unbroken, channeled it, a final series, eternal seat, exhibited worldwide, proceeds to the cause. Years later, Lila at 90, Willow 50-something, gathered Sprouts, now teens, for the anniversary flight. Your great-grandma Elena, she began, voice quaver but strong, gave up a seat. The tale unfolded, plane banking over memories, love's ripple undimmed. In the clouds, Elena's spirit smiled. One act, one baby. Lives forever changed. Generations cascaded. The bungalow willed to Willow, now graying at the temples, Mia her steadfast shadow. Lila lingered to 92, her passing a soft exhale in sleep, Elena's ring on her finger, sketchpad open to a half-finished wing. The double memorial merged legacies, airplane flyover, roses scattered from the sound, foundation unveiling a scholarship in their tandem names. Willow, voice steady through tears closed, they taught us, love seats itself, unbidden, eternal. The Sprouts, now young adults, carried torches. Eldest, Rivera, named for rebellion, pursued film at USC, directing shorts on queer kinships, Elena's memoir her Bible. The boy, Jasper, nod to Lila's whim, engineered adaptive tech, braces for artists echoing his gray-tance grit. The middle Sprout, Echo, painted like Lila, murals in Philly alleys declaring seats for all. Willow mentored, Mia litigated for family rights, the foundation ballooning, global chapters, residencies in Miami lofts reborn as creative hubs. A centennial loomed, 100 years since that Miami takeoff, the napkin yellowed in a museum case, VR recreations letting visitors board the flight. Willow curated, Rivera filming a docuseries, Ripple Effect, interviews with beneficiaries, trans moms illustrating kids' books, lesbian couples fostering amid crises. The premiere streamed worldwide. Hashtags trending seed of change. Stories flooding. Your tale gave me courage to come out. Willow watched from the bungalow couch, Mia's hand in hers, tears proud. They'd beam. Echo's wedding, to a non-binary sculptor, unfolded in the backyard. Roses rioting. Elena and Lila's photos on every table. Willow walked her down the aisle of strung lights, vows echoing. Like my grandma's, I choose you, messy, miraculous. Reception danced till dawn, Jasper DJing, Rivera capturing kisses. Later, alone with Mia, Willow whispered, full circle feels right. Mia kissed her temple. And still spinning. The foundation's impact deepened. Annual flight fellowships, artists with kids granted stipends, flexible for midnight feedings. One recipient, a single dad from Seattle, painted a triptych, Stranger's Gift, hung in the bungalow gallery wing, now a community space. Willow opened it yearly, tours for school groups, sprouts leading. Great-great-grandma Elena gave up her seat, and look what grew. Jasper's invention, Lila Grip, ergonomic tools for arthritic creators, went viral, TED Talk views soaring. Inspired by a woman who painted through pain, he said, screen flashing Lila's portrait. Royalties funneled back, funding more. Rivera's series won Emmys, episodes dissecting the flight's humanism, psychologists on kindness cascades, historians on queer resilience. Not just a story, she told Willow post-win a blueprint. Echo's first solo show, Inherited Wings, sold out. Canvases of airplanes morphing to cradles, lovers' hands across aisles. Critics lauded generational poetry, but Willow's note in the program choked. To the women who sketched our sky. The family attended en masse, Jasper's kids, third-gen sprouts, finger painting in a kid's corner, cycle unbroken. Willow, at 70, reflected in journals, Mia her editor. The baby changed her life, she wrote, but really, it changed us all. Ripples to waves. Health faltered, a stroke slurring words, but spirit soared, dictating to Echo. Mia held the fort, family rotating, Rivera's visits with scripts, Jasper's tech tweaks for comms. The bungalow buzzed, a living archive. Passing came peaceful, Willow in her sleep, Mia beside, photos of the flight on the nightstand. Memorials multiplied, bridge renamed Elena Lila Crossing, Foundation Gala a spectacle. The Sprouts eulogized, Rivera filming legacy reel. One seat, Echo began, voice like Lila's, sparked a dynasty of love. The third gen carried on. Jasper's eldest, a teen activist, organized seat-up days, random kindness drives, strangers swapping stories. Echo's child, non-binary and fierce, illustrated a children's book, The Kindness Plane, bestseller with Elena's morals woven. Rivera's offspring directed stage adaptations, touring schools. A bicentennial flight, 200 years projected, loomed in holograms, AI recreating Elena's voice. Give up the seat. Change a life. The family, vast now, boarded charters, toasting across skies. In clouds, echoes lingered. Drama of doubts, romance's fire, suspense of choices, emotions tied, all culminating in meaning profound. Love, that initial spark, proved no fleeting turbulence, but enduring current, binding strangers to souls, seats to thrones. One baby's cry to humanity's chorus. The end? Merely a turn in the eternal flight. Centuries blurred in the collective memory, the bungalow a museum annex, tours whispering through rooms where holograms flickered, Elena sketching, Lila painting, Willow chasing toddlers. The foundation evolved into a global network, wings of welcome, aiding displaced queer families, residencies in refugee hubs. Descendants dotted the world, a great-great-grand in Tokyo curating anime queer tales, another in Cape Town building art collectives amid townships. The original napkin, digitized and NFT'd for funds, fetched millions, proceeds seeding scholarships. Annual flight fests drew crowds, airplane simulators, story slams, murals co-created live. Third Gen, a climate artist, themed one around kindness currents, installations tracking ripple impacts, stats on lives touched, from coming-outs to adoptions. A descendant, Alex, named for Elena's middle, authored the definitive bio. Seat to skyline, VR embedded, users living the flight. Launch in Miami, Wynwood reborn queer district, family jetting in, dozen strong, toasts echoing the first. From one act, Alex read, a lineage of light. Challenges persisted, backlashes and conservative waves, foundations sued over agenda, but descendants lawyered up, Mia's line strong, winning precedents for family rights. Echo's lineage led protests, canvases as shields. Jasper's tech-fortified digital archives, AI guardians of stories. Millennia projected, the tale endured in space probes libraries, humanity's kindness codex. On distant worlds, colonists might hear Elena's voice. Give up the seat. Back on Earth, the bungalow stood, roses rioting a plaque. Here, love landed. In every iteration, doubt's drama, romance's rush, suspense's edge, emotions swell. The core held, a gay woman's impulse, a pregnant stranger's grace, a baby's advent. Kith to kinship, flight to forever, one choice's profound poetry, lives not just changed, but exalted.